Counting the
cost of being a medical resident.
wow. So, why did you want to become a doctor in the first place?
Um, it's a long, long story, but I think the short answer would be um, I wanted to use the maximum amount of my abilities because I believe God gives us talents, um, and I knew I was good at like critical thinking, good at the sciences. I was good at relating with people, and I thought, what's the best way to combine and make the maximum use of my abilities? And I think being a doctor was the best way to do that. Uh, I tried lots of different things too, and like praying to God, like, oh, should I do something else? Be a musician. Because, too, I play the piano too.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's true. That's true. I remember that.
yeah, and I love it. I play the piano. I worked as a librarian. I thought, because I was an English major. I don't know if you remember that too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I think I kind of remember that.
I
Man.
thought I tried teaching. Um, I tried research there, but ultimately, like the thing that I found the most enjoyable and where I felt the most called to was in the medical field to be a doctor.
Wow. I don't know. I I have a huge respect to doctors because it's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of dedication and it's very challenging to stay um continue to work as a doctor and just to get into medical school is not easy. And a lot
Yeah.
of doctors have to stay up all night and you're on call all the time and I don't really know what actually goes in becoming a medical student and working as a doctor. So did you have any role model?
Oh yeah, I had a lot. um, I um, I knew being a doctor was going to be hard. I think especially as a woman, because it takes a long time and a lot of commitment, like you said. Um, and for someone who maybe would want a family, you have to balance like, oh, is it going to be worth it to do all the schooling and all the training, but then I want to have a family. So I talked to a lot of female doctors, a lot of doctors who are mothers. Um, and just to get their perspective, how they balance, their school and their training with having a family. Um, yeah, so I looked up to a lot of female doctors actually.
Wow. So you probably worried about not being able to be present with your family as much as other jobs would allow you to. So I guess so what did they say?
They said it was a lot of work. They said it was really hard, but they made it. They made it work, and um, I think what's really helpful to them is they had good partners who were very supportive, um, and they had good supportive family. Like they had good parents that helped too. So having a good community around them was very helpful.
Wow, that's true. If they don't have the support, it's almost impossible. Because someone
Right.
I know has this mother-in-law who retired as a principal, taking care of their children. So somebody else will have to, yeah, step in. So what is the picture that you have in your mind when you start working as a doctor and you have a family or and a husband and children? So what's the ideal picture in your mind?
Like how I imagine my work to be, or
Yeah, yeah, your work life balance, I guess.
oh man, that's a tough question because I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. Um, um, I, hmm, um, I am hoping to work in a clinic um, during the day, and I'm hoping to have my weekends free. So right now during residency training, we're not guaranteed to have weekends off. So there's a lot of times where I have to work weekends, and it's really hard. Um, so I'm hoping to find a place where I could get most, if not all, of my weekends off. Um, and hopefully my evenings will be off so I can be at home with my family too. Um, yeah, that's kind of how I imagine it, like working during the day in a clinic. So that
So
way I can spend my weekends and evenings home with my family.
so medical clinics are different from hospitals, right?
Yeah. So the clinic, it's usually during the day, and it's people aren't as sick. Whereas in the hospital, people are usually really sick, and you usually work. Um, I guess you could work during the day in the hospital too, but if you work in the hospital, sometimes they make you work nights or weekends or you're on call, and all those things.
Man, I'm so skinny and I went into the seawater in July or something and it was super hot. The air was hot but the water was cold, so I had a hypothermia. My brain was starting to shut down. I was literally like dying.
Oh my word.
And I had to call 119 and
Mm-hmm.
then they came and they literally rescued me from this just falling apart, and that's when I really appreciated the medical system and the 119, all these emergency system in place. So when I call, they come to get me and they're ready to serve me. So that's when I
Uh-huh.
really appreciated the medical
Oh.
service.
Did
They,
you have to go to the hospital?
yeah, I was carried to the emergency room and they just put me on this warm uh heated things and something was going on, and the key was changing my clothes because I didn't
Oh.
know I had to do that. So
Hmm.
wow,
That's so scary, Jim.
it
I'm glad
was
you're
it
okay.
was very scary.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I actually encountered death because I could feel that my consciousness was just going down.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Have you ever encountered medical emergency in your life?
Like personally
Yeah,
or at work?
yeah, like yourself, like getting sick or.
mm, I don't think not as scary as you, Jiva. Wow, actually, the only time I was ever hospitalized was when I was very little, and I was actually in Indonesia. Um, my Oh no, two times. Sorry, in Indonesia because I wouldn't eat. Um, my No matter what my parents and my grandparents did, I would not eat, and so they actually had to send me to the hospital to get fluids because I wouldn't eat. Um, and then the second time was when I slammed the door on my finger and I almost lost my finger.
Wow.
And so they sewed it up for me.
Wow. So they were they were the times when you experienced something very extreme.
Yeah, and I'm maybe not as extreme as you because the hypothermia sounds pretty scary.
Oh my, it was terrible. It was awful. And when my father passed away from cancer,
Hmm.
I mean, the doctor said take him home. He's dying. And he
Hmm.
passed away just like that. So, hospital is the last place I want to be, but it's somewhere I really appreciate for their work.
Hmm.
So, so when you work at a hospital, as an intern, um, do you feel like this is actually your life calling? Do you feel like you actually fit in?
It's being a resident is really hard, and in a lot of ways, it's not how after residency, it's going to be a lot different than the training that we get because residency is really just hardcore training. They're trying to teach you as much as possible in a very short amount of time. Um, so the specialty I'm doing is family medicine, and it's 3 years of training. Um, a lot of different people go to different specialties, and training can be between 3 years, to 7 years or more, depending on what kind of specialty you choose. Like if you go into surgery, that's at least 5 years, and then if you want to do more specialized surgery, that's additional training. Um, so yeah, it's like trying to fit in as much information in 3 years as possible. So they make us work a lot. I I work like an average of 80 hours a week.
How many hours is
So
that a day?
what's that?
How many hours is that a day?
Oh, a
Or
day?
a day, yeah.
It depends. So if I'm in the hospital, so oh well, maybe I can give you an example. Last week I was working on nights, and my shifts technically were from 5 p.m. to around 6:30 a.m. But sometimes I have to stay later, so that's that, like 14 hours. Um, yeah.
How do you stay awake for 14 I mean, like, how do you like keep working for 14 hours? Like,
Uh, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, oh wow, how did I make it through the day? God's grace, I guess.
I guess the that pressure, that the weight of what you're doing keeps you awake, because when I drive and when I'm
Mhm.
sleepy, I'm so miserable. I like how I mean, how do you how intense is the dynamic?
No, that's true. I think adrenaline has a lot to do with it because you're thinking like, oh man, you know, you really have to focus. And a lot of times it's a lot of things are happening. So you're seeing patients, you're admitting them, you're like always on the move. So that keeps you awake too. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. Somehow in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, Eunice is Filipino. But when you said Indonesia, yeah, she is an Indonesian. It just everything came back. Oh yeah. So so is there a reason why you chose family medicine over all the other areas?
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I think it was the best match for my personality, I guess you can say. That's one. Another is I wanted to, you know, when you imagine a doctor, when I imagine a doctor, I imagine someone who can treat everybody, who could treat babies, you know, kids, adults, elderly, and family medicine allows me to do that. I actually get to deliver babies. I get to take care of kids, and I can, you know, be in the hospital, take care of elderly patients. So, like, really from the beginning of life to the end of life, family medicine covers everybody. Because that's what when I imagine a doctor, that's what I imagine them to be, and I wanted to be as available as possible. You know, let's say God wanted to send me out to the middle of nowhere, you know, I would have all of these skills and training to be able to treat everybody. So that's why.
Wow. I have interviewed the British family doctor that is also going through her residency,
Uh-huh.
and she said that in England, in the UK, in one town, this doctor would know the people in the village, and they
Yeah.
would form this relationship for like 20 years, 15 years. They know all the family, they know all uncles and aunts and grandmas. And how does that work in America?
Yeah, no, no, that's exactly it. Another reason why family medicine is so great because you see the same people over and over again. Your family doctor is your, you know, primary doctor. You see them for, you know, the little things, big things. So you get to really know people. It's not like in the hospital, you know, you might have different doctors and you don't necessarily see the same one every time, but the family doctor, you know, your doctor, that's the one that you know for your entire life. And so you get to really build good relationships with people.
Oh, but I see. So I guess being a family doctor is something in common. I guess because in Korea we just go to doctors as if we would go to a restaurant. Okay, I like this restaurant, I'm gonna go here. But and in the UK, it sounded like the family doctors were assigned to each location. Is that how it works? Isn't it more privatized in the US?
Oh, kind of. So, at least here in the US, you can choose whichever doctor you want. So you don't have to have, and you know, not everyone in the city goes to the same doctor. Usually there's different doctors to choose from. Sometimes there are very small cities where there's only a few doctors, like so maybe you don't really have a choice for what doctor you can see, and maybe that's what your friend is referring to.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So is it? how was your experience as you were growing up? Did you stay in one city for a long time and you went back to the same family doctor that knew very well also?
Um, oh, I guess I moved a lot. Um, when I was so I used to live in Loma Linda, and when I was a kid, I used to go to the same doctor every year. Yeah, until we moved, and then I would see a different doctor every year. So yeah, it's nice to go to the same doctor because they have all your records. They know who you are. So yeah, I did go to the same doctor when I was growing up as a kid. Yeah.
Oh, so is it fair to say that typically a patient and a family doctor would have this long lasting relationship over the time, and then that's the norm wherever you go in the US?
Yeah, I would say so. Most people like to stay with the same doctor, so that way they know who you are. Especially if let's say you're an older person and you have a lot of complications with your health, or you have a lot of medications. It's really nice to have the same doctor, so that way they're familiar with your care. They know what medications you're on. They know um, how complex your medical situation is. So it's just a lot easier rather than, you go to different doctors and they don't know who you are and they have to start over, like about, with all your history. So it's nice to have the same doctor.
Oh, because in my mind, um, because in Korea, government is in charge of the healthcare system, and I guess the UK the
Hmm.
same thing. But not everybody buys healthcare in the US, and how does that like different circumstance work in terms of having a family doctor available? Does everyone have family doctor available?
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. The healthcare system and accessibility to healthcare has always has always been an issue here in the U.S. A lot of people can't afford insurance, and the government has tried different ways to make it more affordable for people. But still, every day I still encounter people without insurance, and they either have to pay out of pocket for their medical costs, or if they can't afford it, like they're homeless or they don't have any job, then the hospital eats the cost. So um, it's it's not the most ideal system, and the the government and the medical system has been trying to work on this for a long time, but it's still an issue. Accessibility is still an issue here in the U.S.
So, so the hospital is the hospital that will have to fork out their own money to treat the patient without that doesn't have any insurance. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that is how that works. Sometimes the hospital will eat the cost. Yeah.
So is the sacrifice they have to make because they have to treat the patients anyway
Yes.
because of a humanitarian reason?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people saying, yeah, if I wait 5 years, the debt will be canceled. The hospital will have to give up at one point. That's what I heard from somebody.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who they come in and that's their mindset. They're like, oh, the hospital's not going to charge me because I can't afford it anyway, And it's
Ah.
unfortunate because um, I don't know the way the system is like. Some hospitals get money from the government, and like a lot of and where does the government get their money? They get it from the taxpayers. So either way, we're all the taxpayers are paying um, for the costs, I guess.
Oh, I
So
see.
in the end, it hurts people.
Okay, so you cannot just say it's the hospital that is carrying all the burden. It's also, I mean, it is partly, or is it like in some cases it's just hospital, or in some cases it's hospital that's depending on the government uh aid?
Yeah, it can depend. So because some hospitals are government funded, or they're private hospitals. So there are some cases where it's like where it's called charity care, where it is the hospital that's completely paying for the cost, and then there are some
Oh,
cases,
I see.
yeah. So
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't I don't know how to fix the problem.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Yeah, it's a big issue because I mean we want people to get good care, um, but how do we do it without costing so much money? Because healthcare is so expensive here in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
So,
You know, when I was canvassing, when I was knocking on doors to distribute
mhm,
literature on a donation basis, after my um, U of M um, religious counselor experience,
mhm,
I couldn't hear it at one point. I was knocking on doors. I'm just like, what? I couldn't hear.
oh,
I went to the ear doctor, and he said, yeah,
uh-huh,
you have too much earwax because somebody told me in the past, yeah, don't do anything with your ear. So I didn't do anything. So it got totally blocked. So I couldn't hear anything. And they got the earwax thing out with the water, the
yeah. Uh-huh.
and I paid like $500, like $400 or something. I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
this would
Oh
cost
no.
like this is would cost like $20 in Korea. I'm just like 300 $400 for
Yeah.
for shik like
True.
10 minutes. I'm just like wow because I didn't have insurance at the time, so I was
Yeah.
blown away.
Yeah.
So wow, it's not a joke. You have to make a lot
No,
of
it's
money.
crazy.
You
Yeah,
have to
it's
make a
really
lot of
expensive.
money in the U.S.
It's so funny, Jim.
I was just speechless when I saw the statement.
Yeah, you should have told me. I would have done it for you.
Man, it was rough. I didn't make much money when I was knocking on doors, but it was a great experience though. Yeah. So so you thought that being a doctor is going to stretch you as a person, is going to grow you as a person. You think is a great fit. So so you're heading that route. And you are an English major and you have taught. So when you did you because you're obviously trying different routes like music, teaching, and medical work. So when did you know that teaching didn't work, wouldn't work, or what was the another one?
Oh, um,
Music, yeah,
so
music wouldn't work.
music.
What kept you from going to those two options?
For music, I actually went to this summer music camp where I was there for 2 weeks, and at the beginning of the 2 weeks, they gave me a sheet of music and they said, you have to learn it and memorize it and perform it in 2 weeks.
Wow, so
And
stressful.
I practiced for hours. I was just at the piano, just practicing. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Sitting there at the piano for hours. I respect musicians and because it's a lot of work and dedication. Like you really have to love it. You really have to love your instrument because you're with your instrument
Yeah.
for most of the
Eh,
time. Um, so that was one. Teaching, I've tried different teaching jobs. I taught like elementary school students. Um, I it was really hard. Like sometimes I would. That's why, man, Chiwa, you and Lily, like you guys, being a teacher is so hard. I give teachers major props because it is so, especially teaching kids.
yeah.
Whew,
It's
so
not
hard.
easy. It's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I would come home crying because I'm like, oh, it's so hard. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, the system where there are too many kids, the system that doesn't allow you to fully like implement the things that you want to implement really frustrated me. That's why I'm teaching at home because I can manage my
mm-hmm,
class. I can do whatever I want. You know what
mm-hmm,
I mean? I can mold the way I want to go with my teaching. So
mm-hmm,
I think that's something that teachers and music people also need to figure out. How are you going to fit in the system, or how are you going to come up with your own system? So that's how I came up with this my own private business of teaching. So I think that's why you want to also like to practice family medicine, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of flexibility, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you cannot serve people unless you are happy.
I totally agree with you, Joe.
I felt like I was just being deteriorate. I was just being like I was like deteriorating when I was working for a private school, Adventist school, because it was just
Hmm.
way too much work. I was working
Yeah.
24 hours, 7 days a week. Like I was
Oh my God.
dean, I was teaching, I was doing the office work.
Man. Yeah, at that point you start feeling like a robot, you're like, you lose the joy in all of it because you're just like working all the time.
Yeah, I needed time to recuperate. Right now, it is the happiest time of my life because I can manage my
Oh,
time. I work 4 days a week. I have time to exercise. I have time for my devotion. I have time for my ministry. So
that's amazing.
it's so awesome to be able to manage my own life.
That's so great.
It's so great. So so tell me about how difficult it was for you to actually get in to the medical school.
Oh man, I don't know how it is in Korea, but here in the US it is so hard to get into medical school. um, whew. uh, so there's a lot of like prerequisite courses you have to take. You have to take 2 semesters of general chemist. You have to take general chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, biology, physics, um, and then you have to get really good grades. Like the average GPA for a medical student is 3.7, which is basically like an A minus average. So you have to be a straight A student, or like the
Oh.
average medical student is a straight A student, and then you have to take the MCAT. I was very fortunate when I took the MCAT. It was only 4 hours, but now it's 8 hours to take the MCAT to to enter. And the MCAT is a test on all of the subjects that you've been studying, and then you have to get letters of recommendation and medical schools are looking for well-rounded people, so they're looking for volunteer work and life experiences. So it's like oh my goodness, it's just crazy. And I think every year it gets even more competitive. So I, man, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, wow, how in the world did I get in? Because it was just, oh man. Um, so, and I don't know if you probably knew this, but I actually didn't get into medical school the first time around. Um, it took me it took me 3 tries to get into medical school, and then finally I got in. So yeah, I'm very grateful to God because it was a very very tough experience. Um, but yeah, now I'm here. It's amazing. It's like a
Wow,
miracle.
that's great. So, how long did you study to get all the prerequisites?
Let's see. I was at University of Michigan for 3.5 years, and then after I didn't get into med school the first time, um, I had to, fix my application, right? Like what, why is it that I didn't get in? And I didn't get in because my science grades were below average and my MCAT was below average. So I had to improve. Um, so I applied to this program in Pennsylvania. It was like a 1 year program that gives you training for the MCAT and then gives you training on the science classes. So I just, studied really hard for a year and did super well, praise the Lord, and got good letters of rec from my professors. And yeah, that's how I got it. So I finished that program. So in total, like 3.5 plus 1 year, and then so that's like 4.5. And then it was 4 years of medical school, so 8.5. And then it's 3 years of residency training. Yeah, it's a long time.
What? So prerequisite 3.5 years as an undergrad,
Yeah, undergrad.
and you're
And if I had better grades, then that would have been it. But I needed the extra year to improve my grades. So that was yeah. So it
and,
took me a little longer than maybe other people.
and you're an English major
Yeah, I was an English major.
the whole time when you were getting the prerequisites.
Yeah, the whole time.
Wow, English major getting ready to. get into medical school, getting all the prerequisites?
Yeah. So that's a nice thing here in the US. Like you can get into medical school with any bachelor's degree. So I had classmates who studied history, music, nursing,
Wow,
biology, chemistry. As long as you do the prerequisites, then you can get
wow,
it.
that's a very very interesting system. So 1 year, after you finish the prerequisites, you
Mhm.
try 3 times for the MCAT.
3 times, yeah, for just to apply to medical school, yeah.
So how often were the tests?
I took it twice, and the second time I did much better. Um, so that's it. I only took it twice, and then I applied 3 times and got in
So
finally.
they had the tests are available every quarter or every month or?
No, you can take it whenever.
Oh
It's all
really?
throughout the year. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so oh I see. I thought it was like
Like once a year or
once a
something.
quarter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, no, they have dates throughout the year, so you can take it whenever you want.
So it's like weekly available, pretty much.
Yeah, you can take it whenever. The only thing is, so the way medical school works is you can only apply once a year. It's during the summer that you apply. Um, so you have to make sure that you have your test scores before you apply during the summer.
Wow. So medical school is how long? How many years did you say?
4 years.
4 years of medical school.
Uh-huh.
How was that?
Oh, it's so hard too. Here I am, like everything's hard. Yeah, it was really tough. There's just so much information, like God made our bodies to be so complex, and like even to the tiniest detail, like there's so many things that we still don't know about medicine. And 4 years, I feel like is not enough to figure out everything in the human body. There's just so much information, and like every year there's new research, new information that we find out about the human body, and so we always like trying to catch up with all of the new information and new technology. Um, so I think it was really hard because there was just so much information that you had to learn in a short amount of time. Um, yeah,
So
that,
did
that was why.
so is that also some sort of a competition within the medical school, or is it like as long as you take classes you can become a doctor kind of thing?
That is so interesting that you say that because, uh, like all throughout pre-med, so like during undergrad and as you're applying to medical school, like obviously everyone's competing, right? Like you wanted to, because it's so hard to get into medical school. But once you get into medical school, I think the competition is a little bit less. Because not everyone wants to go into the same specialty. I think there are some specialties that are more competitive than others. For instance, dermatology, so that's like skin. It's really competitive to get into there. So um, maybe those students are a little bit more competitive. Um, or like some surgery specialties are really hard to get into. Um, Family medicine isn't as hard, so it wasn't as competitive maybe, but yeah, I like to say that in medical school, I had way less competition, and there was a lot more teamwork and helping each other during medical school.
Wow. You know, I know many, not many. I know some nurses and I know some dental hygienists, and some of them say, yeah, doctors study all the time, so they don't have the social skills. But it sounds
Mm.
like in your case, in America, they want well-rounded people, so you have to do a bunch of volunteer work. So I
Yeah.
guess it's a little bit different over there, or do nurses feel the same way about about doctors?
Yeah, that's in a lot of ways we do have to study, so maybe uh, I don't know though. Like a lot of people I know, especially at U of M, like they're all very social. The people who wanted to get into medical school, there's some people who are more shy than others, but I have a lot of medical school friends who are very social people. They love talking to people, and yeah. So I don't think just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you're antisocial or anything like that.
Yeah.
If anything, like being a doctor, you have to like working with people, right? Because you're working with people all the
Yeah.
time. So.
I think the reason why, especially in Korea, people say stuff like that is because when I've interviewed that British medical intern,
Hmm.
she said they make eye contact with patients and they get to know the patient on a personal level. They even know the family background and all those things. And
Hmm.
to me, that was utterly shocking because that never happened to me in my life in Korea, at least. I didn't
Mm.
because when I would talk to a doctor, the doctor is looking at the screen and she's typing things, or she's looking at
Mm.
the student and the patient record and she's looking at the paper. So in my mind, doctors are looking at the computers or looking at the paper and make
Mm.
0.1 second eye contact with me, or not even like,
Mm.
or there's no eye contact, or
Mm.
when you're at a dental office, you're like this and doctor is here, so I don't look, I can't see him, I'm here, so I don't even see him, and by the time I'm trying to talk to him, he's already gone. So is it is there more like interaction going on
I think
at the
so.
hospitals?
They give us good training in school to make sure to talk with the patient. And I went to Loma Linda, and I think Loma Linda definitely emphasizes what they call like whole person care, which is focusing on the person, not as a patient, but as a whole person. So they really train us to make sure to have that good eye contact and really connect with people. They're so I think so, especially in my training. I would hope that most doctors actually treat the person like an actual person and not just like a number or a, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the impression I've had. So I was wondering how you felt about that. When you were doing internship or when you were a patient before you went to
Uh-huh.
medical school, how do you feel about what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I feel I do understand why there are some doctors who maybe aren't as personable. And I think it's because the healthcare system has made it so that medicine is like a business sometimes. Like there's some doctors feel pressure to see, you only have 15 minutes to see a patient. You have to see this amount of patients in the day. So like you don't have time to find out every, like socialize and blah blah. Sometimes I mean, you only have 15 minutes. You can only talk about one thing, and you have to like
Yeah, yeah,
address it.
yeah.
It's and that's just the way the system is. So I do feel like it. Sometimes it happens that I might be more busy and I can't connect with with my patients as much as I want. So maybe your doctor is just very busy and has to see a patient every 15 minutes. That's the way the system is.
Yeah, I think the reason why I keep saying this is because I visited clinics, not hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even hospitals, I know they're not busy. I just know. It's like there's no patient, or like there's one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way how I felt,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been, I don't know, just
Oh,
just when just it keeps ringing in my ears when the doctor said he's gonna die. Just take him home. Like
mm-hmm.
that communicated helplessness, or like, to me, like, wow, there's
Mm-hmm.
so much, I mean, because usually people go to the hospital when there's no other way to
Right.
be healed on their own, so they usually
Mm-hmm.
come when it's too late. So to
Yeah.
me, modern medicine did a lot of pain relief, but not as much as rooting out the cause, so it's usually too late. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I carry this baggage of feeling disappointed and
Yeah.
just feeling just too overwhelmed with the whole
Yeah.
sickness going rampant and just weighing, just, yeah, just Yeah, that's personally how I feel. So when
Mm-mm.
I go to the hospital as a patient, I just carry that like victim mentality somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I usually go when I open the door when the doctor is there sitting there. I don't know. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I go there, like with the baggage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I know where you're coming from, Sheila. Yeah, and I'm sorry you had that experience. Yeah, you're not the only one who feels that way. This is why people don't like coming to doctors because it's true. You're not the only one. There, people like feel scared going to the doctor. They feel like, every time I go to the doctor, all I get is bad news. So why do I want to go? You know, like, or every time I go to I mean, people who go to the hospital, they don't ever come out of the hospital. Like that's the kind of feelings they get,
Yeah.
And I feel bad about that. Yeah, and I'm sorry that you and others have had that experience. It's so unfortunate because there are a lot of situations where people go to the hospital and they get a lot better. And yeah, it's very unfortunate that you have that experience, and I hope that someday that we can change the culture of medicine, and that hopefully um, someday in the future when people go to the hospital they actually feel hope and they don't feel like, oh man, something bad is going to happen. I think that's just the way the culture of medicine is, and I feel really bad about that, but hopefully we can change it. Um,
Yeah. I've thought about because like just going into the hospital or clinic itself just has been very scary for me. So I was just
mhm.
thinking about like I mean I'm not in any way part of the medical system at all, but I've thought about like having this like turning a hospital into some sort of like amusement park or some sort of like a like bunch of like therapy sessions going on or some sort of like social
Mm,
clubs going on so people don't feel like they're like thinking about being sick all the time, but actually there are things that are entertaining and fun and practical and they're learning and they're
오해하신 것 같아요.
socializing with
제
people.
이름은 클로바예요.
yeah.
So
No,
can you
oh,
tell
that
me?
would be great. I feel like that's uh, it's so important and key in terms of healing, that sense of community. Um, because there's just so much more to healing than just medicines. And I feel like Ellen White has talked about this before. Like in terms of addressing people's health. So I agree with you. If there's some way for you to be able to incorporate that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think it'll also be a very good business because I mean, who wouldn't want to go to those kind of like environments where they can feel
Hmm.
accepted and feel good
Yeah.
about being there, you know?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
so I think it'll be great. Yeah. So how was the training different between uh medical school and the internship that you're going through right
So medical school, it's 4 years, right? So the first 2 years you spend just studying books, like the sciences, and you study like the theory of it. And then the last 2 years of medical school, you do your rotations. These are your rotations through all of your different departments or different specialties. So, you spend some time on OB-GYN, some time in peds, surgery, all of those things. And then you choose your specialty and you only do your specialty. So let's say, so family medicine, I get to do everything. But let's say I decided to do OB-GYN. So that or obstetrics, gynecology, I mainly focus on women. So I wouldn't see men as part of my training. Like my only focus would be women and like delivering babies and providing women health care. Um, or let's say I do pediatrics, I wouldn't see adults. I would only see kids. So your specialty is you're only focused on your specific um, field or your specific department, I guess. And it's no longer like book training. It's not. It's like all application, because you're working now. You're actually prescribing and you're diagnosing and you're working as like a real doctor. It's just that during residency you have a supervisor, taking care and making sure that they catch any mistakes you make, or and they give you guidance and training on how to do better. So that's what residency is. You're already a doctor, you just have extra help, and uh, you're still learning. I guess it's still training.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you're still kind of a student status, but I guess you're a doctor
Yeah,
already.
yeah. So I have a license and I have the title, and I have my own patients. Um, the only difference is that there's somebody watching over me and making sure that everything is okay, that I'm learning, teaching me better ways to practice medicine. So actually, like residency is a really um, it's a good time to grow, because people are still there watching you. Because once I finish residency, I don't have that anymore. It's just gonna be me by myself.
Yeah.
It terrifies me.
Yeah, just because you said you study books for 2 years and the last 2 years is different specifics rotating,
Hmm.
and then how long is the residency? You said 3 years for your specialty,
Yeah, for my specialty, it's 3 years. It can take up to 7 years or more, depending on what kind of field you go into.
and after that, when patient comes with anything, you should be able to say, "This is it. This is it."
That's the goal, or at least as a family medicine doctor, like we are what I call like the first. We're the gateway to medicine, so people will come to us and say like, I have this problem, and let's say I don't have the knowledge to fix it because as family medicine doctors, yeah, we get to learn about all these things, but we don't learn it in detail. So let's say a person has some sort of heart issue, and if I feel like, oh no, I don't have the skills or the knowledge to address this heart issue, I will refer you to a cardiologist. Like, oh, I know this cardiologist in the area. You should go see him or her. So we also serve as like a coordinators of care, I guess you can say. We point people to the right direction to get the help that they need. Like obviously I can't do surgery as a family medicine doctor. Like so if the person needs to have their gallbladder removed, it's not gonna be me. I'll send them to a surgeon. you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So you're the
But
first examiner of the patient and the traffic control in a sense. Go here.
exactly. That's a great way to describe it. Traffic control. Yeah, I send them to where they need to go. So sometimes we are the ones who diagnose. We say like, oh, you have this, but I wouldn't be the one to fix that. I would send you to a specialist to fix it. If it's like a simple thing, yeah, I can address it. But there are a lot of things that are a lot more complex and need specialty care.
Okay, so it sounds like there is still a competition within the medical school to get into a specific specialty. So, is there such a case where this person that is good enough to get into the hardest specialty ever, but still chooses something else because that fits that person better? Is that such a case?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Um, so So, like I said, family medicine is not a very competitive specialty, but yeah, I would say that there's a lot of very, very smart, very smart people who decide to go into family medicine because they want to, learn how to do everything. So, it's not always the case where, you know, um, like the top performing students end up going to a very competitive specialty. It's just what people want to do with their lives. So.
Yeah, also it sounds like those difficult ones requires a lot of hours and dedications and long like sleepless nights, and it sounds like you can have more work life balance as a family doctor.
Um, it, Getting work-life balance as a family doctor, or just in general.
Yeah, it sounds like the reason why people would pick family medicine over other specialties
Hmm.
could be also because the work life balance that you can have.
Oh. um, so that's a good point. A lot of specialties that are competitive. are the specialties that have good work-life balance. For instance, like
Oh,
dermatology is
really?
very, yeah,
Oh, I see.
dermatology is very hard to get into because um, people want the work-life balance of dermatology. There's not a lot of skin emergencies, right? So if you
Ah.
go into dermatology, it's like it's a very nice lifestyle.
Oh, I
So
see, I
that's
see.
why a lot of people want to go into it. Um, so I think there are some specialties that are competitive because the lifestyle is nice. Um, and then there are some specialties that are hard to get into because they're just a lot more rigorous, like orthopedic surgery. Um, yeah, a lot of the surgery specialties. Yeah, but it really depends on what people want to do.
Because I think those
Uh-huh.
like surgeons that has to like perform surgeries for like 10 hours.
Mm.
Yes, it sounds like it's going to be more difficult to get in, but also also at the same time some people may not want to get in there. So
Mm-hmm,
how do you create a competition but at the same time attract people?
mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I think honestly, I think that God made it so that all of us desire different things. I don't. It always works out because
Okay, okay.
there's some people who just like they have a talent and they have a desire to cut people. They like want to cut people and they want their hands in people's intestines and like that's just what they're meant to be. Like God called them to be a surgeon. And like people like me, I was not. I don't want to be cutting people open. And so, some people made God made some people to be like me, who would rather, just talk to people while they're awake, and that's the. So I like for somehow it all works out that people end up going to so many different specialties. Like it's crazy. A lot of my classmates, they just all have different interests. And they're, people who love surgery, people who love delivering babies, or working with kids and adults. In my class, at least, there's a good variety of people.
Wow. So, how many years do you have left?
One more year.
One more year. So
Yeah.
you already did 2 years, and then
Hmm.
another year, and then
Hmm.
next year you'll start practicing family medicine on your own without any helpers, assistants hovering over you.
Yep. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you typically start working at a hospital first and then save up money and then buy a building and then start your own business. Is that how it works?
Depends. There are some people who do that. I'm hoping to just go straight into clinic and just work at a clinic. I hope that it would be really great. Like I want to be like you, JY, and make my own
Everything.
place for my own clinic. Um, but yeah, you're right. I have to earn some money first, so I will, work in a clinic probably for a while and raise some money before I can open up my own place. Um, that would be my dream.
Oh, okay. So pretty much working at a clinic, being employed by someone, and then save money and then run your own eventually.
Yeah, that would be kind of the goal right now. We'll
Wow.
see.
So how long do you see yourself um, being employed and then start heading out?
Oh man, I don't know. As long as it takes. Uh, I we haven't touched on this, but medical school is also very expensive, so there's a lot of loans
That's true. That's true.
to pay for too. Yeah. So.
I don't know if you know Steven. He's a Filipino. He went to Andrews and I think he also went to
Oh
Loma Linda.
yeah,
He's a
Steven
dentist.
Devolato.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
He said he's doing his that government program where you like pay off all the loans and government also pays like match or something like that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So is that what you're gonna do? Like go to
Yeah, I'll try to
places?
see if I can find a government program to help me. because it's a lot.
How long in the world does it typically take to pay off everything?
um, I think the way that the system is set up, most people pay it off within like 25 years.
25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I guess
Right.
you just live with it, I guess. It's not like you're gonna
Yep.
pay off next year.
Nope. You just have to keep paying it month by month, and eventually you eventually pay it off. Yeah.
And then 25 years later, you can say, "Wow, I finally paid off. Now I'm gonna."
Yeah. Now I can actually keep all my money.
Wow.
Mm.
So you're like in your late 20s, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you hit 55,
Oh no! You make it sound like it's forever from
you'll be
now.
done paying off, and then wow. So what is your vision as a doctor?
My vision.
Yeah.
Um, it actually has a lot to do with why I chose family medicine. Um, I just want to be as available as possible to people. That's always been my vision. Like for anyone who's sick, I want them to be able to come to me for, the first help. I might not be able to solve their issue because I don't have, like I said, I can't do surgery, but I want to be able to be available. Like let's say an emergency happens. I want to be able to respond to it and respond to it well. Um, so I think just my vision has always been to be as available as possible for anything. Um, and that's why I chose family medicine because it allows me, I think, it gives me the training to be as available as possible for people.
Wow. So for almost 10 years of training, do you remember anything super like dramatic that you can't forget? Like, wow, it just hit you. Like, I don't know, a moment of transformation or some sort of sacrifice going on, or like some kind of miracle, or like any crazy gratitude, appreciation expressed, or like, do you remember those moments?
There's so many, so many moments. It's such a privilege, and sometimes I take it for granted. It's such a privilege to be a doctor because you are there for the most vulnerable moments of people's life, you know, like when they're dying, or it's just, and people tell you things that they will never tell anyone else. It's like
That's true.
you
That's true.
you hold a lot of people's trust, um,
That's true.
and I have to keep reminding myself, like, man, it is such a privilege. Honestly, it's a privilege to be a doctor, like to be able to take care of people in this way. Um, and like every day when sometimes, sometimes it becomes monotonous and it's like so hard, and I forget sometimes that it's such a privilege because of how hard it is. But it truly is. Like, uh, man, it's amazing what we get to do every day as a doctor.
That's true. They're strangers and they come to you and they go naked and they tell all your life stories and
Yeah,
you know everything about them.
yeah. And I mean, and how much trust they give to me, and I don't ever want to break that. Like it makes me want to like do my best. Like, hey, somebody trusted me with their life. And I need to, I want to do my best for them and give them like the best care that I can. So I don't know, like there are some moments where I'm like, wow, I just feel so. I don't know what the word is. Like, I don't know if humbled is the right word, just because like people just they put so much trust. So
Mm. Wow.
yeah.
So so I have two more questions, very quick, and we'll be finished. So what are the podcasts or what are the programs that you watch or read or that to keep up with your interest in medical thing, knowledge, and is there anything like that?
Oh, well, so I'm part of the American Academy of Family Physicians, which is like basically like the society of all the family medicine doctors in the US. And they come out with a ton of stuff. Uh, all the time, and I actually have a big pile of magazines that I get from them like every week. um, does that mean that I have time to read all of them? No, but um, that's one thing. Like they send out like emails, they send out magazines about better ways, new guidelines, better ways to practice medicine. Um, I feel like most of the things that I learn on the job. There's not like particular podcasts or anything. Um,
I see.
yeah, that is a good question though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning. Yeah, I love listening to things, podcasts.
Hmm.
So I was just wondering, but I guess you're just too busy to listen to anything, I guess.
Yeah, maybe my other colleagues listen to things, but I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
not so much. I don't really listen to podcasts now.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. And the last question is, um, can I interview again in 5 years?
Oh, oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, I'd be honored. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see the progress.
we'll see what happens, Joe. I have no idea. Sometimes I can't even see to next week. I don't know what's gonna happen
Yeah,
next week.
if nothing happens, if I'm still continuing to interviewing people by then.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see how you're gonna be and how you and Lily are in 5 years too.
Yeah.
Maybe your business is gonna like flourish and you're gonna have 100 students, but
Yeah, I'm having so much fun every day, and it's also a privilege to teach children. They're just so cute and they're so malleable, and I
mm,
can make so much impact. So I'm also very thankful to serve students.
yeah, you seem like you really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely my calling,
Mm,
but I don't know if I want to do it for the rest of my life. But I'm
mm.
very interested in actually farming, so I'm learning even though I don't know anything
Oh,
about farming. That's why I'm listening to podcasts about farming. I have
oh,
no I have no previous experience, but I just know I have to go to the country someday.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like average person listening to medical lectures all the time. They talk about all kinds of things about, yeah, this is how you grow asparagus, but I just keep listening even though I don't understand everything.
Have you already tried? You've already tried planting and all of that?
Yeah, I have gardens.
Uh
So
huh.
I've been gardening for 5 years. So I am trying to get that hands-on experience, but still so many terms are so foreign to me, but
Mm.
hopefully I'll get there someday.
You will. In 5 years, you're probably going to have a huge plot of land with farm.
Yeah,
I can imagine
more money to buy, more land.
that.
Yeah. Wow, it's so exciting to catch up with you in 10
I
years.
told you, yeah. Wow. I can't believe it's been that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're just as as lively as you were.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, I don't think anything changed. I don't see any change in you. You're just like the same Eunice I saw 10 years ago.
Oh. Well, I'll take that as a compliment. I'm
Yeah,
glad. I'm happy to hear that.
yeah,
That my
it's a huge
that my inner
compliment. Yeah. I hope you have a great day, and probably I'll catch up with
Thank
you
you.
in half a decade.
Yeah. We'll see you. Let me know if you're ever out here in the US or if you ever want to come visit,
Yeah,
Just,
you're in which state?
I'm in Washington right now. I don't know where I'm gonna be after I finish, but
Okay,
just come.
sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the area to visit a museum or something.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's so many people here in the US, and I'm sure we'd all be very happy to. It'll be nice to have a reunion or something.
Yeah, that'll be great. It'll be
Yeah.
it'll be awesome. All the good luck, and hope you stay healthy and happy.
Thank you. You as well, Tewa.
Yep.
Bye, Lily. I don't know if she's still in the background, but
Bye, Eunice. Have a good night.
bye.
Wait, let me show my face.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thank you,
Bye. Have a good
Eunice.
See
day.
You
ya.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.